Sponsored in part by Dell, hardware supplier to the Department of Defense. At Dell, we're proud to salute the men and women of the U.S. Army.
This program is brought to you in part by United Technologies. This is Momentum.
Hello, I'm Walter Cronkite. For most of my life, I've been a reporter and a journalist, but I could never have had the career I've had without a free press. Fortunately, the free press is guaranteed by the Constitution, as is freedom of speech and freedom of religion. But we are only able to enjoy these and so many other privileges in America because there are hundreds of thousands of men and women who wear the uniform, who are willing to die to defend our rights of citizenship. All of them have stories of their own.
For me, I have the ideal that life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, that all people are equal, that we should be able to read what we want, study what we want, and talk about what we want, and even say we don't agree with the government if we don't agree with the government. Those are ideals that are valuable, and they're ideals that are what made this country. And I'm willing to stand up and say, I'm going to stand in defense of those ideals. And I'm willing to stand in defense of someone else achieving those ideals. And that's the difference between me and a civilian.
I don't think they get enough credit for what they do. They are the protectors of the nation. So whenever I see any branch of the military, I give them respect. I always tell them my father's in the Army, he's a supply sergeant. So I respect the ones that help us live. Because if it wasn't for guys like him protecting us, I couldn't live like I live. And I've been to a lot of countries that don't get to live like we live. And if I could kiss every guy in the Army, I would. But it's too many. Too many.
When I was in Saudi Arabia, I got letters. You know, people send letters to any soldier, and you just get a stack of letters. You can pull one out at random. I got a random letter from some high school kids who said, well, we're going to go out and we're going to beat up the demonstrators. So I had to write them back from Saudi Arabia and say, I'm here in Saudi Arabia so that those demonstrators can demonstrate. You can't go beat them up, because that's what our country is about, being able to say you disagree. And I was in a war zone when I wrote that.
In America's history, countless Americans have been dispatched to war zones either for combat or for support. Walter Riner saw his first combat in World War II and later went on to combat missions in Korea and Vietnam. He has 8 Purple Hearts.
Kill or be killed. That's what they taught us. Kill or be killed. What can you say? You're being shot at. You don't know whether you're gonna come through or not. I mean, the good Lord's watching you, and a few other things are watching you, and you got your fingers crossed and a few other things. But you never get used to it. You get used to phases of it. I have a good friend that still, when he starts talking, he sits and shakes and cries. And I can't go into any great details. I can't. It bothers me to hell then. I mean, I broke down on a couple of occasions when we went into real, shall we say, extremely gruesome details.
Nobody wants to die that I know of, particularly in the prime of your life when you're just a kid and you got your whole life ahead of you, and suddenly you're standing somewhere in some foreign country and with a rifle on your back, and somebody's going to shoot at you. And you don't like shooting at somebody else either. You know, I was wounded on April 14, 1945, and we were pinned down, and we had to get over this mountain, and there was a hedgerow, and I tried to lead my platoon, and my radio man was hit, and I went out to get him, and then I was hit, and it was sort of a piercing shell of some kind that went through my right shoulder. It fractured a couple of vertebrae in my neck, and I couldn't move. Then there were a lot of complications in the hospital. Lost a kidney, and I lost the feeling in both arms and hands. I couldn't walk for about a year. So, you know, it was a pretty severe injury. But if you think you got a problem, you just look around, because you got guys lying there with no life, no breath, or somebody with their leg gone. So